as you can see, hand is still broken. 2 more weeks max and this thing is coming off though. I don't know if I could take much more. But if this is your first time checking us out, feel free to drop a follow or subscribe wherever you're watching and give this video a like. We would greatly appreciate that. So starting off with the box and the price, these are going to get the same cardboard looking box from last year's release. And the Cosmic Unity is kind of part of Nike's Move to Zero line, where they include recycled content in the shoe, but I am going to get to more of that here in a second. But as for pricing, these did keep the same price as the first release, retailing for $160, so more on the middle to like slightly higher side, but still not bad. So checking out the appearance, there are some noticeable changes between this year's model and the Cosmic Unity ones, but first I'll kind of remind you that this shoe is made with sustainable materials, but if my numbers are right, it's actually a little bit less than what was used in the ones. I think those were using like 25% recycled content, I think it was, but these are only going to be using 20% from what I've seen so far, but either way, it is still a really cool concept. Nike has definitely started to do that with more shoes since last year, but now looking at more of the model itself, one of the main changes was Nike taking away some of those big craters, or just like, the holes that were there in the ones, and the only place you're going to see anything similar like that on the Unity 2s is going to be on the heel. And this year's model does have a similar mold, but they do run up a little bit higher. I'd say closer to a mid top. Like, I looked at the ones as more of a low top design, but you get a really cool font used for that Cosmic text. It's going to show up on the tongue, and then Cosmic also shows up on the inner side of the upper, kind of using that same font, and I think that's really clean, and obviously it is just kind of there to mark out the model's name. And I like all the waves and just like, the different look that the upper got this year. And the gray Nike swoosh breaks up the midsole a little bit too, but it's actually more noticeable on the inside portion where that like sail colored swoosh meets that Cosmic text. Like, this is just a really cool looking model with a lot of details. Like, I've loved the appearance for like both shoes to start off this Cosmic Unity line, but now let's go ahead and look at how the Cosmic Unity 2 holds up on the court. So now looking at more of the materials and the performance side, and starting off with the cushioning, between the Cosmic Unity 1 and the 2, some things stayed the same and some spots Nike switched it up, but cushioning is a section where they mostly stayed the same, at least with what's being used. So as you can see in the midsole, the Unity 2 gets a full-length Air Zoom Strobel with some foam there that's going to provide really good energy return. And Nike actually even puts in the product details for this shoe that it is meant to give you a pillowy feel. And I mean, once again, this shoe just feels really nice. Like, honestly, I think I do like them a little bit better than last year's model, even just because of how springy like this unit feels in the forefoot. Whenever I was testing these outdoors, like whenever I first got them in, I mean, I have been referencing these shoes a lot, but they do have like kind of the same setup as like the Kyrie 8, the Air Jordan 36, just kind of where you get that bouncy feel in the front of the shoe. And I definitely love that, especially whenever like the heel doesn't lack in cushioning either to make it feel unbalanced. Like, you get a really nice and like soft feel in the heel as well, because it's got that same kind of Air Zoom setup. So these did take a little bit of time to break in, but definitely not much. And I mean, Nike has done a really good job with the cushioning to start off this line for this Cosmic line. Like, the Unity 1 was actually one of my top 5 shoes to hoop in from last year. My only kind of knock on that shoe was it felt a little bit heavy and like kind of a bulky model, but you don't have as much of that going on here for the Cosmic Unity 2, so it's definitely a nice model to play in just based off of the cushioning alone. So now looking at the materials and the support, this is actually a spot where you begin to see some more differences between the Cosmic ones compared to the Cosmic Unity 2s that we have here, aside from like the looks and stuff like that. But first, I just wanted to remind you that for this section, even though I did kind of hit on it already, this is one of Nike's basketball shoes that is made up of at least 20% recycled content, which is just a cool concept. And still, these remain like a quality model even with all that stuff going on. So last year for the upper, it was going to be a little bit thicker and just like had like less airflow, and it's not like it was bad or anything like that, but the Cosmic Unity 2s, they do have a different feel, and I want to say it relates more to like a knit material that helps keep the shoe lighter. Just, it makes it feel lighter to play in, and that was one of my knocks on the ones, was that they felt somewhat bulky, they just weren't super light. But the Cosmic Unity 2s, they definitely shaved off some weight thanks to the upper construct on these. Like, a size 10.5 only weighs 398 grams, and that's for a mid-top shoe, which is going to be really nice. Like, that'll definitely put them on the lighter side, so I was happy about that change. And then looking at the support, I mean, these do have a thinner upper, and I did say these have a thinner upper, and they do, but like, it doesn't feel thin or anything like that. Like, the stitching is really compact, and it doesn't like allow you to move on any type of hard cuts or step backs. And the Nike swoosh on the upper helps keep your foot just from sliding out of the side. And then you can actually tell, especially whenever you're looking at these from the side, that the heel rises up pretty high, so that's just going to eliminate any type of like, heel slippage that could possibly happen. So as far as the materials and the support, I didn't have anything bad to say about last year's model, but I still think the Cosmic Unity 2 even made some nice improvements to a shoe that was already performing well for these categories last year, so that was great. To finish off with traction, the Cosmic Unity 2 gets a durable outsole that uses rubber to provide good on-court traction, and it's also designed to help contain your foot on sudden changes of movement and to keep you contained while you're trying to shake free from the defense. All that's kind of what Nike says. So last year's model, it did have a more traditional herringbone setup with pretty much arrows covering the entire shoe from the front to the back, and they played great. And then you can, see that's not exactly what's going on here. The twos have some more random waves and lines in the front to the back of the shoe, and then it's going to also be more of a decoupled setup, meaning that, you have a clear break in the model from the front to the back of the shoe. It almost looks like some fish bones or something like that. It's kind of cool though. I actually like it, but, normally I do kind of prefer the way that more organized patterns play. Of course, there are exceptions though, and actually these would be one of those exceptions. Like whenever we did our squeak test, the materials used on the outsole doesn't make a ton of noise, but like the grip is really nice. And from everything I've felt so far, these are going to have you more than covered. Like they're teetering right there on the brink of being great. I don't want to say they're good because I've loved the grip so far. So like I think they're a little bit better than that. And the grooves do feel pretty deep on the outsole, and it feels like a tougher outsole. So all signs do point to these being a good outdoor shoe to hoop in. And that is kind of what I was feeling whenever I tested these outdoors, a few weeks ago. So that is going to check out. But as for sizing, this shoe is going to be more of a standard to like maybe slightly narrow fit. I just definitely wouldn't call them wide, I'll say that. And then you get about a full thumb's width at the left over at the end, so like plenty of room to play in for the length. But overall, I do love the direction that this Cosmic Unity line is going. You get all the same great features that were there from last year's model. The cushioning feels a little bit more bouncy though, and the shoe is lighter as a whole. Really, there just isn't a spot on the Unity 2s that I can even find at Doc, so definitely a great performance model for the price. Thank you guys for taking some time to watch. If you're interested in buying these shoes and you want to support our channel, just click the link here on screen, or we have links down below or in our bio, so feel free to check that out. But until next time, I'm Landon from Shoewear. Peace.